You've walked into a room and suddenly everything feels familiar. The conversation, the lighting, the exact position of the person next to you. You've never been here before. You know that for a fact. But your brain is screaming at you that this has already happened. And for about 5 to 30 seconds, you're caught between two realities. One that says this is new, and one that says you've lived this moment before. That feeling has a name. It's called déjà vu. And honestly, science still can't fully explain it. But what they've discovered so far is absolutely fascinating. Let's start with what déjà vu actually means. It's French for already seen. The term was coined in the early 1900s by a French researcher who noticed that people kept describing this strange sensation of reliving a moment they knew was brand new. And it's incredibly common. Roughly 60 to 70% of all people have experienced déjà vu at least once. But here's the weird part. It happens more to younger people. If you're between 15 and 25, you're far more likely to experience it than someone over 60. And scientists think they know why, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's talk about what's actually happening inside your brain during déjà vu. Your brain has two systems that work together every time you experience something. The first is your perception system. It takes in what you're seeing and hearing right now. The second is your memory system. It compares what you're experiencing to everything you've ever encountered before. Normally, these two systems are perfectly synced. You see something new, and your brain says, yep, this is new. But during déjà vu, these systems briefly fall out of sync. Your memory system fires a familiarity signal before your perception system finishes processing the moment. So your brain receives a "you've seen this before" signal about something you're still actively experiencing for the first time. That tiny mismatch is what creates that eerie, impossible feeling. Your brain is essentially disagreeing with itself. Now here's where it gets really interesting. There are over 40 different scientific theories trying to explain why this happens. 40. And nobody has proven any single one of them definitively. But 3 of these theories stand out from the rest. The first is called the split perception theory. Imagine you walk into a room. Your brain starts processing the scene, but gets momentarily interrupted. Maybe you blinked. Maybe you glanced at your phone for a fraction of a second. When your brain picks up processing again, it already has a partial impression of the room stored from that first incomplete glance. So when you fully look at the room, your brain finds a match in its memory. But that match is from 2 seconds ago, not from the past. You feel like you've been here before, but really you just processed the same scene twice without realizing it. The second theory is called spatial familiarity. Researchers at a university used virtual reality to test this. They built different 3D environments and showed them to participants one at a time. Some environments had completely different themes, but the exact same spatial layout. A garden and a museum that were arranged identically. Participants who saw the second environment frequently reported feeling déjà vu. Their brains recognized the layout from the earlier environment, but couldn't recall why it felt familiar. The familiarity was real, but it was attached to the wrong memory. Your brain remembered the shape of the space, but forgot where it learned it. The third theory is probably the most mind-bending one. Scientists put participants into an experiment and triggered false familiarity responses in their brains. Then they scanned their brains using imaging technology. What they expected to see was activity in the hippocampus. That's the part of your brain responsible for storing memories. But the hippocampus wasn't active at all. Instead, the parts of the brain responsible for decision-making and conflict resolution lit up. This means déjà vu might not be a memory glitch at all. It might be your brain's fact-checking system catching a mismatch and flagging it. Think of it like your brain's quality control department raising its hand and saying, wait, something doesn't add up here. One researcher put it this way: experiencing déjà vu is probably a good thing. It's a sign that your brain's fact-checking regions are working well and preventing you from misremembering events. That's right, déjà vu might actually be a sign that your brain is working correctly, not malfunctioning. Now remember how I said younger people experience déjà vu more often? Here's why that makes sense. Younger brains are more active and more responsive. Their checking systems fire faster and catch more mismatches. As you get older, your brain's internal monitoring system naturally slows down. It's not that older people don't have memory mismatches. They do. It's that their brains are less likely to catch them and flag them as déjà vu. So in a strange way, having less déjà vu as you age might actually mean your brain's quality control is declining. The younger version of you had a sharper brain, and déjà vu was the proof. Now here's something else that most people don't know. Fatigue and stress make déjà vu significantly more likely. When your brain is exhausted, its internal systems struggle to stay synchronized. The timing between perception and memory becomes less precise, and those tiny mismatches that cause the déjà vu sensation happen much more frequently. So, if you've been having a lot of déjà vu lately, it might just mean you need more rest. Your brain is trying to tell you something, and ironically, it's doing it by making you feel like you've heard this before. There's one more theory worth mentioning, and it's the oldest one. For centuries, people believed that déjà vu was a memory from a past life, that the reason a place feels familiar is because you actually were there before, just in a different lifetime. Science hasn't found any evidence to support this theory, but it's easy to understand why so many people believe it, because the feeling is so real, so vivid, so convincing. Your logical brain says this is new, but every other part of you says you've been here before. And in that moment between logic and feeling, your brain creates one of the strangest experiences a human can have. A moment that feels like a memory, but isn't one. A place that feels like home, but you've never been there. A conversation you could swear you've already had, word for word. That's déjà vu. And after 40 theories and decades of research, we still don't fully understand it. Have you ever had a déjà vu moment so strong it actually unsettled you? Tell us about it in the comments. Subscribe to Whisper Files for more things your brain never told you.